Hello, everyone. Well, this is a very special episode tonight of In the Spotlight, but the title isn't In the Spotlight tonight. It's actually called Bill Duggan, a tribute to a legend and a friend. And that's what he's been forever. Bill, of course, was on the Derby basketball team that won their only state title in 1951. He was the MVP of the tournament. Not to mention, he was principal at Bradley School from 1967 to 2003. Uh, he's done a million things in his life. He's a husband, a father, grandfather. I could go on, but we're going to talk to him tonight. And it's also his 90th birthday. So it is my pleasure to introduce to you the one and only Bill Duggan, along with his daughter Eileen. And Bill, first off, happy birthday. It's a real honor to have you on tonight.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for inviting me.
So, Bill, let me ask you this. Growing up in Derby as a young kid, I always get jealous because I feel like when you grew up in Derby, it was just such a fun time back then.
That is correct. It was a fun
Yeah,
time. We all stayed and played basketball every day. We played baseball on 11th Street. We walked over to Shelton Community Center. We played in the league against all the teams from Shelton, and we won the league over there. And it was just a fun time. You stayed out every day and you played basketball until the cops came to chase you off the street at night. But 11th Street didn't have all that traffic at that time, so you could play in the streets in those days. It was safe.
right. And Bill, let me ask you, back when you were a kid, I know Derby was always a dominant football program in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, but how was their football program when you were a young kid?
It wasn't that great. I like to refer to the basketball team. I think it was the 1945 Derby High School team. I think they got beat by Brantford in the tournament. I remember sitting and listening on the radio at night, and I think my idols then were, I think if I get the starting team correct, I may miss it. I don't want to be leave anyone out, but I think it was Jimmy Carey, Danny Heffernan, Jimmy Caprio, Alan McDonald, and Joe Gordiano. And my memory serves me correct, I think they got beat by 5 or 6 points, and I was really hurt that night going to bed. But those were my idols growing up in Derby. The football team wasn't that great. I remember my father taking me to see Ansonia play because one of his friends played for Ansonia. So we had some tough love. I think it was the era of Itch Grant. Paul Grant, I think, was around that time playing.
Yeah.
But they were tough times for Derby. Ansonia was still a powerhouse then, and it still is today.
Yeah, it sure is. And Bill, you got a lot of friends, a lot of colleagues and stuff. And I have a friend right here. He would like to say happy birthday to you, and he would like to wish you a happy birthday right now. And then this, of course, is Mitchell Green. So, Mitchell, welcome.
Thanks very much. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you fine. Yep.
I just wanted to say happy birthday, Bill. I'm so impressed and admiring of everything you've accomplished in your life, and you're going strong. It's fantastic, and I can only aspire to accomplish some small portion of what you've done in your life. So congratulations, and hope you're having a great time.
Thank you. That's very thoughtful. Thank you.
Yeah, Bill, you got a lot of fans. And Mitchell, thank you for taking the time to come on for a few seconds to wish him a happy birthday. We really do appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you again. Appreciate it. And Mitchell is a good friend of Bill's, and he wanted to say happy birthday. So thank you again, Mitch, and Merry Christmas. Thank you. So, Bill, let me ask you this. I know your basketball career was tremendous at Derby, but if I'm not mistaken, you also helped out with the football team in high school. Weren't you the manager for a couple of years?
Yes. I was a manager, and Funzi Ippolito was a captain, and we sort of switched roles. He took over as the manager of the basketball team, and I was the manager of football. So we just switched roles in our senior year. And those of you remember Funzi, he owned the River Restaurant. And a quick story about Funzi. Funzi was supposed to take care of the basketballs at halftime in those days. And someone in my junior year came out and took one of the basketballs and started dribbling around. And Funzi was totally incensed with the whole thing. So as we come out from the halftime, Mr. Ryan was a coach then. And here comes Funzi running into the locker room. They're all after him because he was yelling at the kid. The fans thought they wanted to start a fight because Funzi was picking him up. That was Funzi. He was a great football player, and he was a great manager too. A little over the top sometimes, but he was really a great guy. He owned a restaurant for many, many years.
Right.
And when I'm on Funzi, I'm going to give you a story about Funzi and his wife. They own the River Restaurant, as probably the old timers know. First was on the Route 34 on one side, then it moved down to the Anchor Club. And Funds and his wife one time even for class reunion, you always have a committee has to decide where to go and everything else. And Funzy and his wife said, "We're coming here. It's on us. No one pays anything, so no one has any excuses for not coming up." And that were the kind of things I remember about Funzy and his wife, how generous they were. And then at the end of the night, had to make a speech, and I thanked everyone for coming. I thanked Funzy for doing a great job. And I told Funzy, I think next year we should go out to bid and not have it here again. And that made Funzy laugh as he went to try to punch me.
That's a great story. Bill, like I said, you got so many people that want to wish you happy birthday. And I think this is a former student, and his name is Liam. And Liam, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hey, Grandpa.
Hey, Liam, how you doing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Doing good. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. This is really high-tech stuff here. Liam, remember the first thing the art teacher said to me when I met her last year was, "How's Liam doing?" She didn't remember the rest of the family, Liam, but she remembered you as a great student of art. And I think you can tell the group how much painting you still do. What do you do now for painting?
Yeah, I do some murals. Still do some paintings.
Where have you traveled doing your murals, Liam? Tell the audience where you've traveled to do your murals.
Done murals in Albania, Slovakia, Sri Lanka.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. It just sounds like it's a very talented family. I mean, starting with Bill, and now the next generation continues
Well, we
to
got
keep
Liam there.
doing it.
Liam's always interesting. Liam, tell them what trails you have hiked in your career. Where have you hiked?
Done the Appalachian Trail, some hiking out west. Like hiking a lot.
And Liam, tell them the truth. How
Oh,
long is
wow.
the Western trip?
That's crazy.
How long is a
Huh?
Western trip? Where'd you hike from?
It goes from Mexico to Canada.
Oh my God! Wow.
That's just
Tell
a
you
short
what,
walk story.
you got to be in good shape though, Liam. I'll tell you.
And what overseas? Where do you hike overseas? We might make this a Liam tour. Where'd you hike overseas, Liam?
I've hiked in Nepal and Israel.
Oh
So,
wow, that's
He's one of
impressive.
my well-traveled grandchildren. It was always nice to see you, Liam. Thanks for coming on the air, and we appreciate you taking the time out.
Yeah.
Thank you, Liam.
happy
That
Well,
was
hey,
very.
Liam, last question is, tell them what you did for the summertime this past year.
Just doing raft guiding.
Explain that,
wow.
Liam.
Huh?
Explain what that is.
I would get a bunch of random people in a boat and take them down the river.
Oh wow.
Well, what
Tell
kind
you
of
what,
river
man.
was it?
Huh?
What kind of rivers were they? Weren't calm rivers, were they?
No, it was whitewater.
Okay, Liam.
Whitewater. Wow.
Thanks a lot. Nice
That's
to see you again.
impressive.
Good to see you, Liam.
Yeah,
Good to
really
see
good to see you.
Thanks for
Thank
coming
you,
on. I
Liam.
appreciate it.
Appreciate
Happy
it.
90th birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. And Bill, this is your next surprise, and you're going to enjoy this one because your next surprise, Bill, she was a teacher for you for many years at Bradley School. Betsy Seabury. And Betsy, thank you for coming on.
Seabury, yes.
Hi, Bill. Happy birthday, 90th birthday. Where has the time gone? I don't know. Is that Eileen next to you?
Yes,
Yes,
it is.
hi.
Oh my goodness, she was in my second grade classroom.
Yeah.
Way back when. Oh
Yes,
my
and
goodness.
That brings up a point. You were my second grade teacher for how many years, Bets?
37 years.
Wow.
37. I don't know. It went by so quickly. It seems like I was just walking down the hall with the kids. And here we are, retired.
Well, Betsy, it's people like you made me be halfway decent principal, so I appreciate all your efforts over the years. I really do. I appreciate all the staff I had because a principal is only as good as his staff.
Let me tell you, you made us an excellent staff. I have so much respect for you, and I loved my days at Bradley School. I have the best memories.
Thanks, Betsy. I
Bill,
appreciate it.
Bill and Betsy, not to cut you off, but I've told Bill this many times. I mean, I went to Derby Upper School, I went to Derby High, but my fondest memories of growing up in Derby were at Bradley School. And it was because of people like yourselves who I always felt like when I went to that school, we were safe. We were going to learn, a lot about everything. Like, the teachers were tremendous there. They were hard workers. So that's a credit to you, Betsy, and your fellow colleagues, and Bill as an administrator. So thank you for that.
So I want to thank you. Thank you for the memories. It was wonderful. The years I will never forget.
And Betsy, I miss your mother's rice pudding this year at Christmas time.
Oh yeah, I still make it now and then. I'll have to drop some off. I'll make you
Her
some.
mother always made rice pudding and brought me a bowl of rice pudding. It lasted me through New Year's to January at least. It was so big. So thanks, Betsy. I miss your mom and dad too, Nick.
Yes, I do too. Well, you take care of yourself. Hello to Peggy and Eileen. It was great to see you.
Nice to see
Thank you for having me. Happy birthday.
Thank
All
you.
right, bye-bye.
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 Bye-bye, Betsy. Thank you. And Bill, I mean, as you can see, I mean, there's a lot of people that just really, admire you and the people that worked for you. So, Bill, let me ask you, it's so amazing to me because Derby basketball when I grew up was just so bad. And I remember when I was in high school, my senior year, we finally won a game, and that broke a 39-game losing streak. So we did not win a lot, but how was the basketball program back then? I know there were players, yourself, but then as time went on, Phil D'Onofrio was a very good player. Joe Bonanto was a very good player. So tell me what Derby basketball was like when you were growing up.
Well, Derby basketball, for example, my freshman year, I don't think the team won a game all year. I think the only win they played the CYO. CYO basketball was big at one time. And so I think that was the only victory they had all year. I think they went 0-13, if my memory serves me correct. And then my sophomore year, we got a little better. Then my junior year, we went to the either the quarterfinals or semifinals over at Payne Whitney. And I think we got beaten overtime by Stonington, as I recall.
Right. And let me ask you, Ed Koss was the coach, am I correct?
Yeah. My junior, well, Mr. Ryan was my coach for the first 3 years. Then Mr. Koss came in the last year. Mr. Koss was a football coach. He was also a basketball coach, and he did a tremendous job. One of the innovations he thought of before we went to Payne Whitney is, you remember the bandbox at Derby was, I'll always remember that all my life, the little gym down there. And we were at a disadvantage because nothing was that small in the rest of the league or anywhere. So what Mr. Claus said one day, why don't we practice on the side? So we put a basketball, was on the side already. So we practiced, we turned the court around and made it face the wall, which was facing the backyard those times. And we practiced on that. And I think that helped us prepare for the tournament. Very clever, Mr. Claus. He was just a gentleman and a great guy.
Yeah. And I mean, I never heard anything bad about him. He just seemed like to me that he just had so much passion for all the sports he coached. And you could just see that when he was, just by the stuff I read. And that's the other thing too, Bill, is just the coverage that Evening and Sentinel gave Valley sports in general. I mean, I get so upset that we don't have that anymore because that really was a great time.
Yeah, actually, Mike, I was able somehow, somewhere along the way, someone gave me the Evening Sentinel for the year 1951, the first quarter. So I actually have that, and it showed the coverage. I mean, they even covered our practices. Eddie Cotter traveled all over the team. It was like the New York baseball team. You had a beat writer to go with you, and he took his friend Joe Loftus to take pictures. Those were different times. And then you had the Sentinel with Herb Stockton and Harry Katzman and writing about it. It was a fantastic time, and I feel sorry for the kids now because you get a byline in the register if you're lucky. Plus, the register doesn't come out until the next day because they go to bed earlier with the report, so they don't get the high school games at night. So it's really a long time between games.
Right. Well, yeah. Bill, I told you a lot of people want to wish you a happy birthday, and I got two right here that want to say hello to you. Of course, Laurel and Joe Domino. So
how are you, guys? Nice to see you.
What's going on?
Happy birthday!
Oh, nice to see you. We love to read about your travel and what you're doing.
Oh, good or bad, right? Happy
no,
birthday.
They're all good. They're all good.
William, it's great to see you.
Nice to see you.
Yes. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I had a couple of surgery sent me back a little bit, but I'm almost through rehabbing. I had a laminectomy and a total hip replacement, and I go over physical therapy. And the doctor said he's going to give me 8 more physical therapy sessions. By that time, I should be running around.
You're like the bionic man.
You'll be ready to suit up for the Huskies pretty soon.
Yes, I miss the games. I do miss
I
going to them.
bet.
I miss
Well, you're
the
watching them on TV,
tailgating.
right?
I miss the tailgating with Mike Healy and his group too.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Well, you look wonderful.
Thank you.
And
guys
Mike,
look
you don't
pretty
look
good
too
too.
bad yourself. And
You're
Mrs.
being
Duggan,
too
you look
nice.
wonderful also.
Thanks. We appreciate that.
But happy birthday and wishing you many more healthy ones.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right.
Well,
All right.
thank
Take
you
care.
both.
Happy
I really
birthday.
appreciate it.
All right.
See ya.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye. And now we got a former student, and she went to Bradley School around the time I did, Bill, and she's very fond of you. And all her children, I believe, went to Bradley School as well. So this is, of course, Chantel Gherkins. And Chantel, thank you for coming on for a couple seconds.
Hello. I'm glad I remembered to check my messages real quick and find the link. So happy birthday, Mr. Duggan. It's so great to see you. It's a flashback for sure. I was Chantal Hayfully back in the day. I was the only one of my three siblings to go to Derby schools. I moved to Derby in 1985, I think it was.
And did you live down on McLaughlin Terrace?
I did. Yes.
And now I know you moved again. You were over here behind, but now you're up on Kings Court or somewhere up that way, are you?
I moved again. I'm in Southbury now.
Oh, you're in Southbury. You're far away.
Yeah, I'm in Southbury. All my girls went to Bradley and Derby High School and are old all of a sudden already.
I remember your daughter. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Did she take up the collection of St. Jude's one time?
Yes. Yeah.
And she was the only person I ever saw start from the back and work her way up.
Yes,
And you were sitting there, you just looked at me and laughed. And I said, I remember this. And it's funny, I thought about her the other day and I said, I wonder where you are living now. So you're in Southbury. That's wonderful. Nice to hear me. What is that with you?
This is my mini golden doodle. So he's attached to me right now because I was working all day and he's missed me, I guess. So that's Frankie.
Oh.
I guess he wants to be on camera too. So yeah, that was.
It's funny. I just thought about it. I thank you for taking time to say hello to me and wish me a birthday.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. You were one of the good students.
Birthday.
You were always one of the good students.
Usually they don't remember the good students, right? But I'm glad to be remembered.
I do remember you. I remember your mother too. I remember your mother. How's your mom? She passed away. How old is she now? Don't tell me. She's doing okay, I hope.
She's got a big birthday next year, and she still lives right by Bradley School too.
Okay, it's nice to hear. Really nice to hear from you.
Yeah, you too. You look great.
Yeah, I remember your address. That's how I remember the good kids.
That's funny.
All right, let me try and guess your name. I can't come up with it. Your maiden name. What was it? Bonley?
Hayfully.
What was it?
Hayfully.
Yes, now I remember.
Hayfully,
Sorry about
but
that one.
without the T.
But I got your address right anyhow.
You sure did. That's awesome.
Okay. Thank you once again. Nice to see
Happy birthday.
you. Bye, happy
Thanks,
daughter.
Chantel. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Take care. Bill, we got another one coming on. She's not on video, but I think we should be able to hear her. Hi, Patty. Can you hear me?
Hold on a second. Hello?
Hi, Patty. I can hear you. We just can't see you, but can you hear us?
Sorry. I didn't mean to be heard. This is Patty Breckett.
Yes, Patty. Bill's on. If you want to say happy birthday to him, go ahead. Oh, I lost her. Okay, maybe we'll get Patty back, but she disappeared. But Bill, it's talk to me. I think junior year, you guys almost won the tournament as well, correct?
Yeah, we went down the stretch. We won a couple of games. Mr. Ryan was a coach my junior year, and he fought. It wasn't the CAC, but he argued with the officials or the people running the contest that we should have got $1 each for breakfast because we had to play, I think, at 10 o'clock in the morning against Bullet Haven. And then we won 3 games, and we had a great player in Franny Walensky, who was all-state, and then he had the 2 Kylies and Franny Walensky, and that was the nucleus, and Joe Zabrazalka, and I'm missing one person there on the junior team, but they were a very good team, and we really got ripped off by a call. Everyone agreed it was a bad call, and it fouled Joe Zappi out of the game, and I think we got beat in overtime. And when I'm on that, getting beat by Stone.
Uncle Bill, Patty.
Oh, wonderful, Patty.
I'm here with my friends. Everybody's wishing you a happy Happy
We got a whole
birthday.
fan club here,
You
Bill.
Wonderful,
didn't
Patty.
have any
This has
friends.
been the highlight of the whole night, seeing you, Patty. It's really been a
I had
highlight.
any friends. I have at least two.
Patty, turn your mic on. We can't hear you.
Oh, sorry, you can't hear
Okay,
me?
there we go. Yep, now we can hear you. Yep,
I have
go
at
ahead.
least two friends. We're calling in to wish you a happy birthday. My technology skills are really, really bad. Thankfully, Eileen is there.
Yeah, Patty,
Yes.
we're limited for time, Patty. Why don't you shut up now?
Okay, time to go. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you so much, Eileen. You have a very happy birthday. And remember to change the code on your door. I still know how to get in without a key.
Thanks, Patty. I appreciate the call too.
Bye-bye
Good night,
now.
everybody. Bye-bye now.
Thank you, Patty. Appreciate it.
Mike, let me
Bill,
go back.
so
Let me go back to that basketball game again. It was Stonington, I think, and
yeah,
they had a 6'7" guy, Wayne Lawrence, one of the first big men I think we ever played against. And as time goes by, I was up at the gymnastic meet in Stonington, and I was watching the team practice, and I said to the guy, "Your banner's up there on the wall. You got that banner by beating us." And he said, "Yeah." I said, and one of the players was Wayne Lawrence. He says, "I hate that guy." And I said, "Gee, that isn't very nice. You know, it's been 40 or 50 years." He said, "Wayne Lawrence holds the school record, and he has one more basket than I did. So I just really like Wayne Lawrence." So I have memories of Stonington too.
right. Bill, what I found interesting too, when I would research those teams, and it wasn't just Derby, it was everywhere. Teams didn't really score a lot back then. A lot of games were won like 45 to 42, 43 to like 37. Like it was very low scoring. And I know there were no three-pointers back then, but I mean, did the coaches focus a lot more on defense back then? Or I mean, why do you think games were so low, in the low 40s?
I think it's a combination of things. You never took a bad shot. You worked for a good shot. Remember, the set shot was just coming, it was moving away, and you're turning to one-handed shots. And at that time, Shelton was the shooting circus in our senior year that we managed to beat in the tournament, by the way. But Shelton was one of the premier ones for scoring a lot of points. They ran points up. But most of the work intent, passing the ball around, you go 3 or 4 minutes without taking a shot in those days. And that was it. And the game today is much more physical. You see the banging around on the boards and people getting knocked down and more injuries along the way. And in those days, I think there were more three-point athletes who didn't devote all their time to one sport. They played a lot of sports. And I think I recall that after the Thanksgiving Day game, if Derby football got beat on Thanksgiving Day, the football players had nowhere to go. They all came to practice the next day. So I knew if Derby won Thanksgiving Day, which was a rare occasion, no one would show up for practice. They want to, rest on their laurels that day. But I think a lot of it was the movement of the ball. You held the ball longer. You didn't take bad shots. The chest pass was in vogue then. And you wouldn't gamble on passes. Today, you see like 10 or 12 turnovers in a quarter going on. We didn't have that many turnovers because we only threw safe passes. Today, it's a gamble pass, it's an alley-oop pass, and I think that adds up to scoring. And, of course, the three-point game changed everything around, too. So that came in, I think,
Right.
85, was it, Mike? I'm not sure. Was 85 to start a three-point in high school?
I think so, yes. 84 or 85, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And Bill, you've kind of had a great relationship with this gentleman right here. You love to bust him off on him a lot, but he definitely wanted to say hello to you. So of course we have a guy that you've been friends with for probably over 50 years, Charlie DeCenzo.
I don't recognize him. Who is it?
And he starts. Now, I was going to try to be a good boy. I really was, but not anymore. Eileen, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Very well. Bill, I was surprised when they said this is your happy birthday, 90 years. You don't look a day over 89.
Yeah, that's funny, child. Thanks.
Yeah. And Mike, while we're here, I don't know if you can see this, but this was the, wait a minute. I get the orientation.
You gotta move it. Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
There's the picture that Mr. Duggan submitted. I can't get a good look at it. Come on.
You just got to put it straight. Like move it over to your left.
There we go.
Yep, there it is. Yep.
Now, that's the picture that's in the Hall of Fame yearbook. I looked at this many times. This guy is handsome, he's thin, and he's athletic. I got a question to this, Mike. You edited this book. I really have to question if you used a body double or something to that effect.
You know, Bill, while I got Charlie on here, I got to pop somebody else up right now. And you told this young lady that she was never going to graduate from Boston College. So I am going to put her on right now because you did tell
Oh,
her she would never graduate from Boston College. So Maria DeCenzo is on, and she wanted to wish you happy birthday as well.
Oh, you're looking a little old. Ooh.
thank you,
I
Maria.
graduated and I still have my license 20 years
I'm
later.
surprised. They must have lowered the medical standards in Massachusetts for you to be still licensed. I'm surprised. Tell them, Maria. Tell them what you did on your graduation day. I love that story.
So I was on the football field at BC, and my dad called me on the field. This is before iPhone, Apple phones, and he gave me the phone number to Bradley's school, and I called Mr. Duggan, which at first they weren't going to put me through because they're like, "Who is this? What's going on?" And I said to whoever answered the phone, "Just let him know I'm at my graduation on the field and I'm graduating." And then they put me through to him. And so I called him from the football field in the middle of graduation to let him know I was graduating from BC. Yeah. Proof.
Great story.
Proof we could do
Hey,
it.
Maria, tell them what you said on my Christmas card you sent the family, which wasn't very nice if you remember.
This year was to the lovely Miss Duggan and the old man. Yes.
Maria, I always remember you. I could say sincerely, I don't think you were a very great athlete, but you were one of the hardest working kids I ever had the pleasure of coaching in the summer league. You did everything you were supposed to do. You tried hard. And then I remember you were a pitcher for the softball team. And I always say Maria is trying as hard as she can to make it the best of what she has, the ability she has. You were really a hard worker. And it was really a pleasure knowing you in my lifetime. I really enjoyed talking to you all the time. And your family too. Your two kids look great, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I see one in a football uniform.
Yes. One had my dad out in the backyard working on punting, working on stances. So, we have a little football player here.
Yeah. Well, your father was known as Ground Chuck, so the kid doesn't have to too much. Just run straight ahead. That's all Charlie ever coached. He was known as Ground Chuck. Right, Charlie?
Bill,
That's right.
Bill, there's a great story you told. So you told me it in private, but I think you should tell it. Tell the story about how you thought you made Charlie believe that his car got towed. Talk about that.
And this was cute. We were at the basketball game in Wallingford, the second goal Sheehan, and we pulled up and we were late getting there. We had a lot of traffic, and I pulled up and I parked right in front of the Derby school buses. And Charlie said, "We shouldn't park." I said, "Charlie, don't worry. They know my car. They're not going to take it away. They'll move the bus for me. They know I'm in charge of transportation besides being the principal." Okay, so the halftime, Charlie's a wimp, and it looked like a little rain was coming. I said, "Charlie, I'll go get your umbrella," because he started to complain. Bill, I'm going to get wet. My hair's going to get mushy. I said, "All right, I'll go get the umbrella." So I go out and get the umbrella. And I said, "Well, I'll move the car." So I moved the car far away. So we come out after the game, and Charlie said, "Bill, where's the car?" I said, "Oh, gee," I said, "Oh, I don't believe it." I said, "They must have towed it." I'm going to call the Wallingford Police Department and put an end to this. So I pick up the phone and I talk to nobody, just dial away. And Charlie's going, "My wife's going to be worried about Charlie. Calm down. We'll be all right. We'll get home somehow." My Ann's going to be really mad, Bill. I said, "Charlie, they towed the car. What can I do?" So after listening to him cry for so long, he's getting wet, his hair with must. I had to tell him the truth. I moved the car during the halftime. We thought it was funny afterwards.
Michael, this is what he's all about.
Yeah, I'm sure your heart skipped a few beats when you didn't see that car.
Hey, Charlie, why have you? I see one of our friends is retiring from Seymour.
Yes.
And a nice teacher, a good teacher.
Floyd,
Give him a plug. He was a good teacher and a nice person.
Yeah. I mean, we were there when we hired him. I mean, I can't believe he's already got his 36 years in or whatever, and time certainly rolls on.
We're talking about the principal at Seymour High School, Mike. He retired in the paper today or in the news.
Mike knows him well, Jimmy Freund.
Yeah, he was my science teacher at Derby.
Nice guy, sincere person, a real dedicated worker.
Yeah, I enjoyed him a lot, and I mean, he's just a great person as well. I look at it this way, Maria and Charlie. If Bill doesn't insult you at least a couple times in your life, that means he doesn't like you. So you have to take it as a compliment when you get insulted by Bill Duggan.
Well, a couple times in my life would be fine, but I get a couple times a day,
Yeah, Bill, I always tell the story too. The night of the Hall of Fame when you guys were walking on the field, you'd come up to me and you said, Mike, whereabouts are we going to walk out? And I was telling you like the 50-yard line. Then Charlie happened to be walking over and you go up to him and you go, Mike just told me I got more votes than you. And I mean, you always had that dry sense of humor and quick wit. And I mean, that was always you. I mean, just always quick with everything.
I'll tell you, Michael, we can laugh all we want, but in sincerity, no one helped me more as principal than Bill did. We had I had the red phone on my desk. I would call Bill all the time. Bill, I need help. But he gave some very, very good advice. Some I took, some I didn't, simply because here's a guy that's rooted for the Yankees for 90 years. I mean, he's delusional. So he's still hoping they win a World Series.
To him, Bill. Bill, don't listen to him. We had a lot of great memories.
We know better. We're going to get Soto back. He's coming back in a trade next week.
You know what?
Listen,
Mets can have him. Don't want him.
All I know is I saw a ton of my grandson's baseball games this year. Some good, some bad, some ugly, but none as ugly as that inning in the World Series for the Yankees.
That was bad.
That's unbelievable, Charlie. Major League and some really good players just made big mistakes. The pitcher, the center fielder.
I was texting Ethan during the game, and when Judge dropped that line drive to center field, Ethan texted me. He goes, "Papa, I think I could have caught that one."
That was unbelievable.
I want to thank you both for coming on and wishing him a happy birthday. I know it means a lot to him. So thank you for taking a few minutes to do that today.
Thanks for having us, Mike. And Bill, really,
have a nice holiday, Maria. I got to say something nice to you in public. I really do appreciate you, and I like you, regardless of what you think of me. Thanks,
You're
Charles.
all right. You're all right. We'll call a truce for today for your birthday.
Happy birthday,
Bill.
Bill.
You play the piano well, too, or the accordion on the field.
Thank you both again.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Have a good night. Bill, I'll tell you, when Charlie told me that story too, I was shocked because I couldn't believe that Maria, who is the nicest person you'll ever meet, that you told her that you're never going to graduate from there. So that just goes to show, like I said, if you're not insulting somebody in a nice way, then you don't like them. And I know she always took it in good nature.
I hope so.
So, Bill, back to the tournament. I mean, just take me back to that a little bit. I mean, how many games did you have to play to win that tournament?
Mike, I don't know, maybe 4. I haven't looked at the scrapbook in 30 years, probably. I don't remember. I know the final game. Well, first of all, the second game we had to play was against Shelton. And Shelton, as Vin Murray once told me at his retirement party, that Shelton team you beat was the greatest Shelton team ever. And the next year they won the tournament. He said, that was the greatest team and you beat them. So we had Shelton in the second game. And I remember my dad saying, you can beat them. And I want to say, Dad, why don't you play them? They already beat us twice. They killed us. And my father, you can beat them. And we wound up beating them. And that was a big thing. We knocked Shelton off and they were a powerhouse. As I said earlier, with the shooting circus and the scoring in size 6'7", 6'5", and they were bigger and better than us, and we just caught them on a lucky day and beat them. So that's how tournaments are, though. You get a good night, you beat anybody.
Yeah, and Bill.
And then the final game, Sacred Heart, we went off to a big lead, as I recall, and blew the lead. I think what he did, the other coach took the first team out. He was so mad at him. We were way ahead. Threw the second team in, and they ran us around and made us make mistakes, and we didn't shoot well, and we were fortunate to hang on. And I remember looking up in the stands at one of the timeouts, then going to the last few minutes, I looked up and I see I think Payne Whitney holds about 3,000 those days or whatever it held. I can't recall exactly, but I looked up and I see all these nuns standing and all these priests saying, and I said to myself, geez, even God is against us. How can we win this one? But the people of Derby really supported us. We had a big crowd at the game, and it was so exciting to come home and have the fire trucks and go through the city. And the next day, the players, we decided we're big shots now. We won a tournament. I'm 16 years old, and I'm not going to do anything wrong. And my friend Tommy Luciana said, Bill, let's not go to school. Let's all stay home from school. So what we did, we skipped school and we drove by the school. And of course, the students all came to the window and we cheered. And we were real heroes because we got to school to let them out early that day and give them the next day off. So that was our premium moments of our lifetime. We got the Derby kids off for a day. It was a big thing. And the town was so supportive of us. It was really an amazing time. And like I say, I was 16 years old, finished high school then. And so it was an exciting moment. I had great players, Ronnie Carlin, Jackie Kiley, Dickie Kiley, Tommy Luciano. Frankie Pascusa was a sub that came in at the in the game because Dickie had a bad knee. And they were really great players. I don't think any one of us was that great, but we're a team. We worked hard and we were able to overcome a lot of obstacles and win that tournament.
Right. And Bill, I brought it up before I had Charlie on and Maria, but I talked about the Sentinel and what a great newspaper that was for the Valley in general. And I mean, it folded in actually December 24th, 1992. So that was a very sad time when it went away. But I got to tell you, I mean, they covered everything. And, you can go to the library and just look at that on the film, and you could be there all day sometimes because the coverage was tremendous back then.
Oh, they covered someone got engaged, they put a picture in the paper. You had a wedding, someone put a picture in the paper. And the sports reporters were fantastic. I said with the coverage, and I feel, like I said earlier, I feel sorry for the kids today. They get no recognition. If it's a night game, the register doesn't publish it at all. You never see a box score in a high school basketball game. So the kids don't get the recognition. I feel that maybe affect them trying to get to college. They don't get any publicity out of it. You get one line out of it, you're lucky.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's
different time. The Sentinel was a great paper.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it was.
And then you had the.
I mean,
they had the Journal Courier that also, Mike, in the morning and the Register in the afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better newspaper, in my opinion. I mean, like, it just had everything, Bill. And I mean, I was so sad when it went away. Like, I, just was heartbroken because that, like I told you, that was a paper that everybody loved. I mean, to me, you couldn't ask for like a better newspaper. It just had everything.
I think Charlie Flynn was the editor. I think his son is Joe Flynn, the attorney, if memory serves me correct.
Right.
It was.
Yeah, you might be right.
You had an Ansonia section, a Derby section, a Shelton section, Little Seymour, and then the Valley, and they just covered everything.
And Bill, we have a guest again. Somebody wants to say hello to you, and go ahead, sir.
Am I on?
No,
yep,
you're
on.
Not on.
All right. Hey, Grandpa, happy birthday.
Thanks for showing it. Thanks for taking time out to say hello to me. You working today, young man?
I am. But I just wanted to thank you for all the years coming to all my games and stuff like that. I was very fortunate to have you guys around. Still, what I'm reminded of the most is when you got me Papa John's after the second shoulder surgery. One of the best pizzas I've had to this day.
You know what? I got all these pizza places in Derby, and you wanted me to get Papa John's, the only one's in Milford. But tell me about the one day I had cheering for you, Liam. Tell them about Jake, tell them about the one day I had trouble cheering for you. Do you remember what day it was?
If it was college, there were probably a lot of them.
No, high school.
High school? I don't know.
Who did you beat for the championship one year in baseball?
East Hampton?
Derby.
Oh, the state one. Yeah, that's fair.
Wait a minute. Did you ever beat Derby?
Oh, yes.
Jake beat Derby. You were a freshman then, Jake, playing second base?
Sophomore.
And Derby had a bad day. Your catcher got hit twice with the bases loaded, as I recall. And Derby made mistakes he didn't make all year, and you beat Derby. So I was at a crossroad. Do I cheer for my grandson or do I cheer for my alma mater? And Jake, I got to tell you the truth, I was cheering for Derby.
Yeah, you got to do what's right there. I get it.
Yeah.
No
Well,
hard feelings.
Jake, that's when he told me that, that was pretty impressive. And you could tell he's very proud of you. And I really appreciate you taking the time to wish him a happy birthday because, you know, you guys are his pride and joy. So thank you for everything.
Of
Thanks,
course.
Jake, for coming on. I was sort of cheering for you a little bit, Jake, in the big game. Don't worry. And Jake, how did you lose that one game when you should have won in basketball? Somebody dribbled. What? Tell them that story quickly. You
Oh,
had
when
the lead, right?
DeAndre,
What
DeAndre
did you
dribbled.
do?
He
What
threw
did
it
you
into the
do, Jake?
bleachers.
I can still picture him. What did he do?
He dribbled
Coming
to
up
one
half
side of
court,
the
what did he do?
he dribbled to one side of the court, left his feet, and threw it into the stands. Probably harder than any fastball I ever have.
And that was the you had the lead at the time, then too, right?
Oh yeah, he gave multiple. He gave it up. I think it was 3 straight possessions.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I mean,
awesome, Jake. That's really great. I mean, I love that. I mean, just shows it's an athletic family. I mean, Eileen won a state title. She's a Hall of Famer. I mean, just the Duggans, they're great athletes and great people.
You're definitely blessed to be part of the family.
And that note, her mother wanted to make sure we told her mother did what? She ran track for Derby, Jake, your mother?
Yes.
Was she outstanding,
Jake,
Jake, or was she a great runner?
As far as I know, as her career as my mother, that she was a great runner.
Okay. Good line, Jake. Good line.
Good line. Yeah.
Well, Jake, I know you got to get to work, but thank you again for coming on for a few minutes. I know it meant a lot to him, so thank you again for doing this.
Of course. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, buddy. Merry Christmas. Have a good day.
Merry Christmas.
Well, you know, Bill, you mentioned this man about him retiring a few minutes ago, and wouldn't you know, his ears must have been ringing because here he is, the one and only Jim Freund. And Jim, thank you for coming on for a few minutes.
Hey, my pleasure. I wouldn't miss anything. It's Bill's 90th birthday. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jim. Good to see you.
Hey, Bill, about, I want to say it was about 24 years ago. You were one of the administrators that kind of inducted me into the administrative profession. And much of the lessons that you taught me 4 years ago, I've used and I've practiced every day of my administrative career. And, I'm very thankful to have had you as a mentor early on and all the lessons that you had taught me. And it's really helped me be successful a town over there in Seymour, not in Derby, I know, but Seymour nonetheless. I still owe my success largely to your support early on.
I appreciate the kind words, Jim. And you were one of the hardest workers I ever met and most sincere teachers I know of. And I was disappointed when you didn't apply for Bradley School when I was retiring. But
I understand.
I know your heart was in high school.
Yeah, unfortunately, those little kids, they have a lot of boogers and stuff. I refer to them as little snot-nosed kids. I prefer the older kids, sorry, but it's just the way it is.
Jim, congratulations to you on a great career, and I'm very happy you're retiring.
Well, yeah, me too. It's I'm my 39th year.
Okay.
So it's time for me to go on and let a new generation take over the education of our kids. And I do say our kids because I think of all the kids in the lower Naugatuck Valley kind of as the same group, the same community, the same family. And, it's time to move on. So, I missed you at the last Derby teacher gathering, though. I
had a few. I'm getting there. I'll be honest, I don't walk too well right now, and I struggle getting out of a chair, and I didn't want to fall down in front of all you young guys and make you pick me up. And I'm going to make the next one for sure. I'll see you the next one for sure.
That would be great. That would be great. I'm very happy to be here and wish you a happy 90th birthday,
Jim. And if I can save enough money, I'd like to go to your retirement party whenever it is.
Well,
send me a free ticket, and I'll be sure to go.
Yeah, I guess it's supposed to. Yeah, I'm not supposed to know about it, but I do. So it's all good. I'll see what I could do.
Okay.
I'll see what I could do.
Jim, thank you again. It was really nice
of
you to come on, and congratulations on your retirement.
It was really a pleasure working with Jim over the years. You were a great guy.
No, it really is, Bill.
And a hard worker. A day's work for a day's pay. Thank you, Jim.
No, thank you very much. And you enjoy your birthday, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Have a
Appreciate
good
it, buddy.
night. Yeah, bye-bye.
You as well. Thank you. And Bill, the guests just keep coming because this is a former student as well, and she wanted to wish you a happy birthday. And she's involved with Derby, with the Hall of Fame, with the school itself. So she wanted to say hello. So Jen, go ahead.
Hey, Mr. Duggan, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I just want to take a quick minute and say happy birthday. I'm very excited to be able to be a part of this for your 90th. All my great memories from Bradley School had you attached to them. So, and then all through high school, it was always Bradley School this. Yes, Mr. Duggan, Mr. Duggan, Mr. Duggan. So, and then very fortunate to be able to reconnect once we started the Hall of Fame. So, it's great to see you every year at the banquet. Hope you're healing up pretty well from your recent surgery that you missed the banquet this year. How's everything going?
It's okay. I'll make next year for sure.
Great.
And always nice to talk to you. I always appreciate having students like you. You made life easy. Thank you.
Yeah, I still, we first started the Hall of Fame. You stopped up and would always bring me your check for your tickets, and we got to catch up for a little bit, and it was always a special moment for me. So I just wanted to take a quick moment. I'm out Christmas shopping with my family, but I ran back to the car quick so that I can say happy birthday.
And thank you for all the work you're doing with the high school now. I hear great things about what we're accomplishing with it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm having a good time. The kids are great. Coaches are great. Great administration. So I'm happy to be there.
Good. Thank you. Thank you once again for taking time out this season.
Of course.
Thank you, Jen.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night. Take care.
You too.
And Bill, this guy I'm looking forward to. This guy has known you forever, and he definitely wanted to wish you a happy birthday. And he also has a story to tell about the over 40 league. So I figured I would let him tell that. Jack, thank you for coming on.
Oh, it's a pleasure. At lunch today, we were just talking about Bill, and Bill Pucci told a story that I heard Bill say many times. He was a legendary speaker at all the banquets. I think he owned the title of Toastmaster for any sports banquet in Derby, but he always had a funny line. He would ask people if they had seen him play. Of course, he was the MVP of the 1951 state championship team. And of course, no hands would go up, and then Bill would proceed to tell him, "Whoa, boy, you missed the best player in Derby high school basketball in history." Well, Bill, I never saw you play either in high school, but in sports they always say you're only as good as your last game. Well, I was there for your last game, if you recall.
I remember vividly, Jack.
Yeah, and sadly for me and good for you, you went out as a champion, as you should, because you beat us for the 3-on-3 league title that Mike talked about. So what's better than that? You go out on top with a championship.
And I think Mike's father was on my team that year, right?
Yes, yeah. And he had said that's how you wanted to go out.
Jack, I said I never. Jack,
Yeah.
I say I never play another game of competitive basketball, and I never have. I don't think I picked up a basketball 5 times since then. It was just nice to go out a winner, and beating you guys was the highlight of my life. Sincerely, even though I was like 60 in the over 40 league, it was always because your team was always so well drilled, Jack. You had plays, you worked hard, and we just caught you on a bad night. We were just so thrilled.
I don't think so. You beat us, period. I remember we had it was myself, my brother, and the 2 Mazzantis. We had the Irish-Italian team from Derby. We had a blast, but you were the key player to beat us. I always tell that story. You were the oldest guy there, but you knew more of what you were doing than all the others, and you had a good team too. You had a good team, but it was a pleasure. But I couldn't let this go by without coming on and say happy birthday, because how often do you get to say that to a living legend in Derby? You accomplished so many things, and provided so much support to so many people in the Valley. Just couldn't let it go by without saying happy birthday.
Thanks, Jack. I appreciate it. I appreciate all your work in Sheldon and that as a coach. And I do remember that vividly, making shots down the stretch. And Mike's father came in. We alternated. He played defense because I couldn't move too quickly, which was one of my always problems. I just didn't move too quickly. But his father came in and played defense, and we got the ball. I played offense, and we won. And I always remember that. That was a highlight. And I had time to come out. I appreciate reading all your articles and stories. You're really a Valley historian for Derby. Thank you.
Everybody thinks I am, but I'm not. You know,
Oh, you're doing a great job. Thank you.
Well, Bill, you also forgot to mention who was kind of like the coach of that team and the one and only John Saffo. And he used to kind of yell at you guys a little bit during the season, play defense, hands up, so you can't forget him.
Great player.
Oh, yeah.
Great
Yeah.
player.
Yeah.
Good scorer.
You don't see that stuff though anymore, Bill. It's kind of a shame because, that was really just fun times. The 3-on-3 leagues in the summer, the over 40 in the winter, even the men's basketball league, and of course the softball leagues forever. But it's kind of like a lost art now, really.
It was. I grew up. I was fortunate. After the war, I'm really reminiscing. When the guy came home, everybody had a team. You had the Fireball restaurant had a team. The Auto restaurant had a team. The Storm Engine Company had a team. The Hotchkiss had a team. Everybody had a team. So you could play 5 nights a week, fast pitch softball. And in those days, the premier team was Ray Besse's Cardinals, which you may remember. Mike, I remember reading about them. And the Ray Besse's Breakettes. The women were outstanding. And so we played a lot of softball. There were so many teams, but then slow pitch came, changed the game. And then, you don't see many teams anymore. We had lights at Ryan Field. We had to have this. We needed more fields. And I'll tell you, one of my brightest moves I ever made was there's a field in Derby called Burtville, Bradley. It was called Bradley Field.
Yes.
Down where Stalls was behind in Burtville there. And when slow pitch came in, big sluggers came along and they were hitting the ball in the trees. So I was a recreation director that year. And so the players came and he said, could you get Mr. Bradley to cut that tree down? Because we're going to get hurt running into it. We hit the ball so far. And I go, it's a landmark. I don't think Mr. Bradley lets us use the field, but I don't think he's going to let us do that. So I went to him. I explained to him, I'm worried that we hit the ball so far. People are running into it and they're going to get hurt. And, well, all right. We'll take it down at no expense to you. So we took the tree down. But what none of us realized, including me, is with slow pitcher through that high arc, the sun was in your eyes for most of the game, and no one could see because the tree, unbeknownst to us, gave us shade, and everyone could hit the ball. So I got called out for that one. That one was not one of my brighter moves, actually.
That was absolutely true. I remember that. You could not at 6 o'clock on a summer night. You could not see the pitch. It was impossible. I didn't know you were responsible for that tree.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, yeah. I haven't shared that too often. I hope nobody watches this content and knows anything about sports.
Great days, though. A lot more activity. Sadly, and I see your daughter there. We don't see women's softball either.
No.
All the adult leagues are pretty much watered down or gone. It's sad. But
Jack, were you around for the fast pitch at all, or the end of it at all? Or
it was ending before we started playing. Derby still had a few teams because you had, great pitchers like Mazzanti and Matt Cornicchini.
Right.
And there was Billy Hillwell was a great player.
Yeah.
And some of them transitioned to slow pitch, but a lot of them, first of all, they didn't like slow pitch. They just thought that was game for
You mentioned Joe Mazzanti, a great pitcher.
Yeah.
I played with him and against him, and one night I had to go. I was in college then, and after I left college, I went down and played at Ray Bestis. And Ray Bestis, if you recall, Billy Wojcik, the third baseman, played 3 feet from home plate because no one was going to hit the ball. And that night I hit a foul ball. So when I left the game, people said, "How you do?" I said, "Oh, I did very well. I hit a foul ball." People, what kind of a team player are you? I said, well, that was it in those days. You didn't hit the ball. It was a one hitter if you were lucky that night.
Well, if you're a right fielder, you'd go 2 months without seeing a ball hit to you. So
yes.
The pitchers killed the fast pitch, and home run hitters killed slow pitch.
Yeah. How many teams are there left today playing Jack in the Valley in softball?
I have no idea. I don't even think there's a league in Derby other than firemen. So I really don't know. We had to build fields and put lights, as you mentioned before. And
yes.
You don't need them. Don't need them. It's too bad.
In fast pitch, it was after the war. There was players like Itchy Grant was around. Everybody's a player now, so they wanted lights at the old Ryan Field, the baseball field. And my father worked at Derby Gas and Electric, and Derby Gas and Electric said, "We can light that field. We can illuminate that field where the baseball diamond is." And
Really?
so they did. They put up like 3 spotlights. Unfortunately, the spotlight blinded you, but they did illuminate the field. So the Derby Gas and Electric, the old, no one is what became Housatonic Electric, and changed his name obviously now to our United Electric we have now. But that was one of the problems we had, that they couldn't see. No one ever thought about the spotlight hitting right in the face.
And who would believe that whole facility would be the palace that it is today? It is an extraordinary facility with, baseball and football and track, just a whole new era. But not as many people to use it as we had years ago.
And I did have a connection with Mrs. Payton. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, the interesting story is one year they awarded a prize at graduation at Derby High School, and Mrs. Payton, and I think I was sitting with Charlie at the time, and we said, "Who's Mrs. Payton?" Then we learned later on that she wanted the memory of her father do all this for Derby. And so somehow, someone told me something, I researched it, and I looked, and I have a picture of my father, my grandfather. They were on the team with Mr. Payton.
Yes, I knew that.
He was the valedictorian of his class, and they had a copy of the graduation brochure, and it says William J. Duggan. And so I graduated with him, but that was my uncle. It wasn't me. I'm not that old.
It was class of 1915.
Like such a nice lady when she came to Derby. I remember going to the banquet with her. She seemed like a really quality person and sincere, and all the money she invested in that field is unbelievable.
I've gotten to know her a little bit because I've been acting as a fancy title curator of the museum for the last year, trying to get it organized, and had a chance to talk to her a few times. She is just so down to earth and so nice.
Yeah.
And talks about her father, and talked about what a wonderful thing it was to grow up in Derby during that time. They didn't have any money. They were very poor. They lived in a boarding house in downtown Derby, but great memories. And I think you would feel the same way about Derby as I do. It was a great place to grow up. Very lucky to live when we did, and still do. So, I think
very fortunate to have people like her in our lives.
Yes, she's one of them.
How is that house doing now, Jack? What's in the field house now?
Well, there's the museum.
What is in the field house besides the locker room and everything else?
They've got a great room for banquets and things, and she also paid to create this museum, which contains all the sports memorabilia that her brother collected. Most people don't know that story, don't know there's even a museum there, but he collected sports memorabilia, high-end sports memorabilia, baseball, basketball, football, and he died in 2013, I think, and had this collection in his condominiums out there. But she, as part of her gift to the city, she also had the architect create this museum. And really, it's kind of amazing. There are 500 items in it, and they're all.
She has some stuff from Green Bay Packers there, didn't they? I thought when she first started it.
She's got he had, because he was the collector, not her. He got quite a bit of Green Bay Packers, but sadly, it was years later because there's nothing in there about Bob Skoronski, because he became a Packer fan long after Bob Skoronski's time.
I'll have a Corey story about Bob Skoronski as long as we have time with Mike. We still got time, I hope.
Yeah.
I played basketball with Bobby Skoronski and with the Boy Scouts, Troop 3 and Post 33.
Yeah.
And so one day, today they say, the guy broke out. And in those days, you were a basket hanger if you didn't get back on defense. So we're playing down in the old Derby High School gym, and I'm scoring a lot of points and all the layups. And Bobby grabbed me and said, "Listen, Duggan," he said, "you should do some rebounding and stop scoring on layups. We all want to see the ball." So I said, "Bobby, sure, if you say so." He's bigger and stronger than me. I didn't argue with him. And Bobby Skoronski, you want to know this, but obviously he went out with my wife a few times. And good thing we never came to blows, because he would have killed. He was that big and strong, and he went on to a great career. And my dentist who helped me get into college was a big supporter of Bobby. He helped Dr. Smith help get into Indiana.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Frank went there too.
Pardon?
His brother Frank also ended up going to Indiana.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
Bob. Yeah, he became a school principal like you in Shelton.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Great guy, great family. I had a couple of the sons that played basketball for me in Shelton. Just super family.
Yeah,
Right.
I had his granddaughter at Bradley School, a real nice girl.
Yeah. Well, family just like the Duggan family.
Yeah, thanks.
What the Duggans are for Derby, Skronskys were for Shelton. So.
Yes.
Well, Jack, thank you for giving us a few minutes today. I know it meant a lot to Bill, and thank you for sharing those stories. It was really cool.
Well, it was just a pleasure. Looking forward to the next 90, Bill.
Thank you, Jack. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Jack. Have a good night.
We did beat you, Jack, and I'll always remember that. I didn't want to bring it up, but I did. I always remember vividly. I remember.
Hey, at least I was honest enough to come on and say it. So.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll see it.
Thanks, Jack. Take care. Bill, I'm going to try to add her. Susan, if she. Oh, good. Your mic is on.
Yes,
Good.
I was.
I was.
Hey, big
Me and
guy.
Eileen.
Oh.
Yeah, me and Eileen were trying to text you because the mic wasn't on.
How are you, Sue?
How are you? I just wish I was close enough to give you a hug and kiss. I am so thrilled to be able to celebrate your 90th birthday. I remember your birthday still. I don't know why I remember it. So
well, probably the gift is in the mail then, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, always.
The post office is very slow right now.
And I'm in South Carolina. It's real.
I know you are. I'm just going to say you're down south.
Yeah, some days it doesn't even come.
and I always remember after you came back to Bradley School from middle school, I think it was.
Yes.
And then you told me something about a month after I hired you. What did you tell me?
I was pregnant with my daughter.
Thank you. Do you think I would have hired you if you were pregnant without this?
Oh, no.
Yes, I would have. That never entered my mind. I would have hired you anyhow. You're a great teacher.
Oh,
I just kid you about that. That was one of the things that did not disclose to me, which would have been required by law, would be protected attorneys.
I disclosed it to another Bradley principal at the time, and no, I did not get hired. So no, I did not disclose it after that.
You're a great secondary teacher with Betsy Seabury, right?
Yeah. So I have a long-term sub position. I don't do full-time anymore. And she texted me and I got to thinking and I said, so since I've moved and since you retired and I've gotten to work under a lot of administrators and by far, no one did it with as much class, as much character. And for God's sakes, no one understands my sense of humor like you. And I really can tell you, you are just the best administrator I've ever had the opportunity to work for. Hands down. Hands down.
Are you getting paid for this show?
I am not. I respect character. I respect a good sense of humor. I respect fairness. And you just don't know that till you get to pop around and go, So, I mean, it was a pleasure. So I'm just so thrilled that Betsy let me know that you were having your little thing today and I could come bother you. It's not the same as giving you a big hug and kiss. The last time I saw you was at Betsy's house.
Yeah.
For that. Yeah. So, yeah.
I thank you, Sue, for not only coming on, but people like you made me look pretty good as a principal because I had good teachers.
Oh, no, you ran a tight ship. You let us know what we had to do. You let us know how to do it. And you did it with a smile and you made me laugh all the time. Because I joke now. And a lot of times I get a look like, because they don't have the sense of humor that you brought out in me and that you had. So I really do cherish that. For real.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Very kind of you.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're doing well and healthy.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
You too. You have a better memory than I can tell you after listening to you tonight. So,
Susan, thank you for giving us a few minutes and thank you for wishing him a happy
Thanks,
birthday.
really nice of you.
Birthday. I love you.
Love you too.
Thank you, Susan. So, Bill, I want to ask Eileen this because Eileen, let me ask you. As a principal, he had to run a tight ship, and he was a no-nonsense guy. How was Bill Duggan though at home? Was he just as tough, or was he a softie when it came to being home?
Well, let's see.
We're running out of time. We're running out of time.
No, he was great. He was and is a great dad. He's always been a great dad. Always interested in everything that we did. Always wanting to see us do what we wanted to do, succeed where we could succeed. Always, despite being incredibly busy, and I know probably hasn't been mentioned here, but in addition to being a principal, my dad drove coach buses
Yeah.
on weekends. All growing up, and still managed to get to our games, to take an interest in what we were interested in. And yeah, I mean, I think we're all just very blessed and fortunate to have someone like that in our lives. And along with my mom, who were just incredible in terms of the time that they spent with us and interested in us. And honestly, to this day, we talk to my mom and dad all the time. They're up to date on anything that we're doing, sports related or otherwise. And, they're great parents and great friends.
Right. So Bill,
could I just one second? One guy I did miss one of Eileen's softball games because I had a PTA meeting, and I always felt an obligation to my profession as well as to try to do everything with the family. And that day I didn't go. Eileen got her nose broken by a throw, right, Eileen?
Yeah, I broke my nose.
She broke her nose. Eileen played second base. We shortstop. You always a shortstop. Yeah.
That's probably better off.
I forgive you.
Thank you. That was the one thing I missed. Her getting her nose broken.
Yeah.
And my two sons are here. Can you say something now about my two sons that were players? Two of them are here.
Oh yeah, I was reaching out to Joe. I didn't know if he was going to come on. Are they over there?
And I even have my son from California who was a swimmer derby. I have my two sons
here.
And Joe,
he was an All-American in college too, wasn't he?
He was. Yeah. Yes, he was.
Yeah. Well, if they want to come over here and say hello.
Say hello, Joe. Tell them what sport you played. Tried to play.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah,
how you doing?
I got it.
Hey, Nietzsche, how are you?
Two were here.
Good to see you.
You're right.
Same here. Doing a very nice job with this. Very impressive that you got all these people to come on and you bribed them to say all those nice things. That was very good.
Chip off the old block, Bill.
Yeah. So, we enjoyed sports growing up in Derby. We pretty much played everything year round, and my parents were always nice enough to encourage us and to also drive us everywhere. So, when we grew up, you played baseball in the summer and, football out in the yard, and then you played basketball. We did track, cross country, all that. So pretty much any sport Derby had, at least one of us participated in.
Right. And Joe, correct me if I'm wrong. You even played for George Tanner when you were like at 7th or 8th grade, right?
Yeah, we have some old pictures. We were the Middies. That was the very creative nickname we had for the middle school team was the Middies. And George was a coach. He was a very good coach. We enjoyed playing for him.
Right.
He was a good player as well. He could, he couldn't just tell us what to do. He could show us, and he was very good at it.
Hey. All right, Joe, that's enough from you. Can we get Billy and Pat out here to say hello? These are my other two sons and my daughter, who thinks she's an athlete too. We get her to come too. As long as we're on this, we might as well go down the family tree. This is Billy.
Hey, Bill. How are you?
Good. Are you interviewing him or is he interviewing you? I feel like he's taking over the show here. He's like the MC over here.
Well, you know what? It's his night, so he could do whatever he wants. But Bill, I always remember, I think it was you and your brother. You played on some of those great Adzima teams in the men's league, correct?
Yeah, we started off. We were at Zima's for years. Before that, we were Stork's Tavern for a couple of years. We won it with Stork's Tavern, and then we kind of moved on from Stork's Tavern, and we turned into Adzima''s. So we had some great teams, a lot of fun.
Those games were exciting.
He played on the team a couple of years. He carried us a couple of years too. He was with us. He was a player coach. So it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
So you got a good Bill Duggan story you could share with anybody?
They're censored.
So I went to Trinity, and my father used to come pick me up. He used to come home for the weekend. We played basketball on City Hall, and then we also played at City Hall League on Sunday. But my father and I, we both love pizza, and so there was one time we're coming home, and my mother's gonna. We both know my mother's making us dinner, but we both wanted pizza. So we stopped off on the way home, had pizza, great pie. we came home. We had not tell my mother we had the pizza. We had to eat a whole ziti and lasagna dinner on top of that too. But either food and sports. That was the way it was growing up. It was a great period of growing up.
Right. I mean, I'm sure there's so many other stories as well. But what do you, I mean, it's his 90th birthday. I mean, real quick before you go, Bill, what would you what would be the one thing you could say that stands out the most to you about your father?
Well, I mean, I've always tried. He's been my hero growing up. I've always tried to do what he did. And he had 5 kids. I had 5 kids. I tell my youngest kid that was probably one of the mistake I made, having the 5th one.
Hey,
Well,
could I get my son Pat on, because he came out from California for this event? So
oh yeah,
can you come over here and say
I got
hello?
Yeah,
Might as well get all the whole family. And Maureen, will you come in and say hello too?
yeah. Hey Pat, how you doing?
Very good. How are you
to see
doing?
you. Good, thank you. So Pat, I just asked Bill if he had any good stories. You got any nice stories to share that stand out to you about your father?
Yeah, got a couple. So I was the oddball in my family. Everybody played basketball, and I'm the tallest. And I think somewhere there was probably hope until he saw me try and play, and then realized, no, it's just not going to happen. So I ended up swimming, but still got signed up for the citywide league. I'd be going to NC2As for swimming, but I was still signed up for Derby's citywide league in case I had an epiphany and turned and came back. But my dad also drove often. He had sometimes drove a bus that would take our team. So this one time we're going to Marist College for a swim meet. I swim for Southern, and I get on the bus and my head's down. I'm focused on competition, and I go back and I sit there the whole time, and I'm okay. This is it. I get set to race. And as I'm walking out, he just kind of turns and puts his head down a little bit. So I have no idea it's him. So I walk into the meet. My sister is there, who has done the multi-page AAA triptych to land at Marist College without getting lost. My dad's there in hysterics because he's driven me, and I had no idea for the last hour and a half I was on the same bus as he was. And so that Christmas, among the other gifts, I got a beautiful photograph of my father, both face forward and in a profile, with a note for you to help identify your dad in the future in case you're lost and confused. So it was very nice.
And I'll just jump in on that, Pat. And the coach insisted we stopped at Burger King. I think it was on the way home. So I had to buy Pat and all his teammates. I had to pick up the tab for everything. So I think I lost money driving that far for nothing. And Maureen, I don't want to say, Mommy, Peggy, will you come out and say hello to you? Just come out and say hello to Peggy, because Mike's running out of team now. Just come out and say hello and tell him how thrilled you are to have Bill.
Nice to see you.
Hi there.
We'll make it quick, Mike.
How are you?
Great. How are
Maureen,
you?
good. How are you? I always enjoyed the story you told at his induction ceremony when you had said, "I am now a coach, and
Yeah.
I'm really the good Duggan, whatever." But any great stories to tell about your father? I'm sure there's many, but any ones that stand out to you?
Yeah, I think what I want to say about my dad is he came to appreciate that I wasn't going to be a sports person, and I was more of an artsy person. And I really appreciated that he embraced that part of me, and he was able to say, okay, if this is what your world is about, I'm going to learn more about it. And even to this day, he keeps me up to date about theater and what's going on Broadway. And I appreciate that he came to be the same type of fan that I was, that I said to him, I'm not going to be a sports person, but I am a super fan. So he was just a super fan for my kids. And I love that about him. He was the person that would be with me through some really hard games. If you remember in college with Jake, where my dad would be the only person sitting in the stands with me, and they would be some tough outings sometimes. And my dad would be the person there yelling at the other pitcher really loudly, watch for the wild pitch. This guy's erratic. And I try and tell my dad, these are college kids. It's okay. And he's like, no, it's okay. I'm old. I can get away with stuff like this. So I always appreciated that even though my dad was a great athlete himself, he also was a great fan. And he was a really great fan to my kids. And to this day, I know that that's something my 3 sons carry, that I have one son that's very artistic and really appreciated my dad being there for all his performances. And then my other 2 sons that you heard from today, both really appreciated that both my dad and my mom made all the trips to whether it was baseball games, basketball games, indoor track, outdoor track, cross country. They were just there for everything, and you couldn't ask for better parents.
Okay.
Right.
Get my wife in here, and maybe my wife, for something to talk about, will tell about what we did at our house to encourage our kids to participate in sports. What do we build after we built the house?
Well, first of all, we built a basketball court, which
Oh,
was
wow.
great. And then when we brought Eileen home from the hospital, they started to dig in the ground pool. So we used to have everybody in the neighborhood here, which was wonderful because you knew where your kids were. And I think they appreciated it too.
And then downstairs, we made the recreation room.
Right. We had a pool table.
Pool table and a ping pong table. So
table.
everyone,
Right.
yeah. So that was,
Right.
and my wife supported me on everything. She supported me all my life. And how many years we have been married?
68.
68 years, yeah.
Congratulations. I mean, that's
Thank you.
great. And I always say this, Bill, that like I said, the experience at Bradley School was great. And I always think I was telling Eileen this the other day, the green jacket was like your signature jacket, the
Yeah.
green sports jacket. But you always had that school, in control. Like everything ran well. There were never issues. You were always at different events, and it's not easy when you have 5 kids and a wife, and you're trying to juggle everything, and you got to be at the school a lot of the times. I mean, there were times you were probably there till 7 o'clock at night, maybe even 8. So I mean, it's just a credit to you that you were able to manage it for all those years.
And you have to realize also that he was my boss because I taught at Bradley School for a while.
That was a union rule. She got transferred because she was low man on the totem or low woman on the totem pole. At Irving School, she got transferred to Bradley School. So she worked with me. I never said anyone worked for me. I always like to say they worked with me at Bradley School. It was a team effort from Joe Cross to janitor, who was the most important guy in the school, right? Everyone has important. I always said it was a team, and I never did. You worked for me, you worked with me, and that was it with my wife. And in fact, they trusted her so much. She was a union rep and could file the grievances against me for a year or two when she came over. The teachers let her be the leader of the union against me, but it worked out well.
I recused myself.
After 1 year, she got out of that job.
And Bill, let me ask you. Obviously, you wanted to be principal, but you had just had a great season coaching basketball. I think the team went 14-6, and you had to kind of give that up to be principal at Bradley. Was there ever a part of you that was hesitant to take the job at that time, or were you ready?
A little bit of both. I trained my life to be a administrator, and I was very happy being a teacher. I love being a teacher, but I had to realize as a coach, you're only as good as your last team. And I thought I could do both. I thought I could handle both, but the board of education said no. But the board of education was sports minded. They said to me, if you stay on as coach, we'll give you the next opening that occurs in an administrative position in Derby. And I thought long and hard about it, but then you have to realize boards of education change, membership changes. So one board said 1 year could be going out the window, 2 years later, and I would be back teaching. Not that I didn't like teaching. I did like teaching. I love teaching. I love being a principal. I love being superintendent for a while, but I realized my role in life was better suited being back in the classroom with teachers, and I really enjoyed it. So I was very fortunate in life to do all those things. I ran a bus company for a couple of years, which was a challenge. I had 49 motor coaches all over the country, up as far as Alaska even. And I did that to help a gentleman out, an old elderly gentleman who was trying to sell the business, and it was a tough time. But I made the right move. I stayed in education, stayed in Derby, had a great career, and just enjoying life to the fullest. And so happy I built a house in Derby. We had put a deposit on a house in Seymour. And after I put a deposit on a house in Seymour, I really didn't want to move to Seymour. And I found a loophole. They changed the specifications. They moved the garage from the side at which I wanted on envisioned for some reason. They put it in front, and I just said, well, that's not what I wanted. And I got out of the colors, I got my deposit back, and built this house on David Humphreys Road with the help of Harold Yudkin, who sold us a property. He was a great man. And he did so much for Derby High School. In those days, he ran the oratorical contest and was a contributor to everything. So we appreciate it for Harold Yudkin. Throw him a plug too.
Right. So Bill, I mean, you talked about you always felt like they worked with you, and that's really like what makes it, the team work great. And you had some great educators. I think of, Betsy called in. I think of her first name escapes me, and I apologize, but Mrs. Tenney, and she passed recently.
Oh, Lynn Tenney, yes.
Yeah. And Carlack,
Carol
guys
Carlack,
that-
a nice person,
yeah.
really nice person. Lived in Seymour.
Yeah.
Yankee fan also. We played lotto together. We each contributed a couple of bucks each week. We shared lotto tickets. We both had the same likes, the Yankees and gambling.
Yeah. And I mean, of course, I thought Paula Ferrara was just a tremendous gym teacher. She was always motivated when she went out there and just did a great job. So you always had good people around you. And when you have good people around you like that, it makes your job a lot easier because you know that things are running well. And that's important because you have to deal with the administrative part of things. And when you have teachers that are dedicated and committed, it just makes things so much easier for you.
That's very true. And I when I was cleaning out the files when I retired, one of the things I saved was a letter from Paula thanking me for hiring her. And she really turned out to be a great teacher. So I was very pleased. Then she moved to Florida, I believe.
Right. Yeah, she did. And talked to her not too long ago, and she's doing well. Bill, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about before we wrap up is in 2017, of course, you were honored being inducted into the Derby Athletic Hall of Fame. And when you think about it, Bill, you grew up in Derby, you played high school sports at Derby, and obviously you were the principal at Bradley School forever. But I mean, I really felt like that was the final thing to complete your career was getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. So just talk about that a little bit.
I was really honored because I never thought I was a great player. I was fortunate to be part of a team and to be remembered by that. I know I was fortunate. Yes, I was a captain, and the captain didn't make decisions on the court. And Mr. Cost would talk to us at timeouts, and we all got our input. Some coaches are dictators; they don't listen to you. But Mr. Cost listened to us. That was something I really enjoyed with that and coaching. Someone like Mr. Cost was really a great influence in my life. And in college, I had Dr. Glines, who was a big influence, and he understood. I was a 16-year-old kid in college, and with a lot of great players. But he understood I was a kid and helped me out tremendously in my career, helped me get into teaching, and made sure I did well in college. And let's get back to what was the last thing you were asking me, which I digressed and missed for a moment there, I'm sure.
Being inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Well, the Hall of Fame was a great honor. I started way over on that one. It was a great honor because, the people that run the Hall of Fame, I really appreciate all the work they do because they research it and they're sincere and they're a nice group of people and led by you're the inspiring factor in that whole thing. But it is nice to see Derby get represented. I mean, other towns had Hall of Fame people and it fell apart, but your Hall of Fame works hard. They do a great job. And it was such an honor to be inducted and to be thought of, as I say, I was just one part of the team. And I like to think that all five guys were equal, and I was just the lucky one they picked out to be the MVP. Anyone could have been it because they all played important roles on that team. That's my life story about the Hall of Fame. I really appreciated that honor. It was a great honor. I have the picture of my daughter with me. We're both in the Hall of Fame with our red jackets, and we show the rest of the family every now and then. Say, "Oh, you don't have a red jacket," and that really busts chops a little bit with the rest of the family. But we understand the two of us. That's our bond. We're Hall of Famers, right? We're Hall of Famers.
Right. Well, Eileen, obviously I talked to your other siblings, I talked to your mother, but we'll finish with you. What's the one thing that stands out to you most about your dad if you had to pick one thing?
I think it's how much he was interested in what we did growing up and remains interested in what we're doing now. I mean, I remember he talked about the Storm softball. I remember I would be excited to go to his games because we would play catch before the games. We played basketball in the backyard. He'd be at all the games. He even coached in high school. One year when I was there, they'd come to all the games in high school, all the games in college, and to have folks who are that interested and committed is kind of priceless. You know, it's really, and it's remarkable. So it's been very, very blessed and fortunate.
Right. Well, Bill, you have anything you want to say to your colleagues, students, friends, family before we go?
No, I think, like I said all along, I'm a very part of it. In high school, in 6th and 7th grade, we went over to Shelton and played. I was part of a team. We went over to beat Shelton. Johnny Cavanaugh, my friend Frankie Pascuzzo, Butch Rano, all the guys from Smith Street. We walked over to the community center in Shelton, which was on Howe Avenue, and I was always part of the team. And then in high school, I was part of the team. I always was part of the team. And, I think that's what life. My family was a team. We all supported each other, and we're all blessed to have that feeling. And I hope they all feel the same with their families today.
Right. Well, Bill, real honor for me.
I appreciate the Hall of Fame. Really remarkable, Mike, what they do every year, and how you pick out people and you pick quality people and you're sincere about it. And I one day someone walked up to me in the grocery store and said, Joe Smith thing get picked in the Hall of Fame. They don't know what they're doing. So you know what? I said, these people spend a lot of time researching and do the best they can. You know, they don't have video shots of all the players. You know, it wasn't like the day where you could send a tape or something. You're digging back and doing a great job. I think everyone in my family, I think every athlete in Derby appreciates what you're doing. So
I really appreciate that. But Bill, it was a real honor today having you on. You know, first off, happy birthday, and you know, congratulations on 90 years. But 90 years where you've just done so much in your life, and you've really made the most of life. And you're a credit to not only Derby, but the entire valley, the state of Connecticut, to school systems everywhere. And I really do applaud you for the kind of individual you are. And I thank you for giving me some time today. It was a real honor.
And Mike, just to say, I know your mother passed away recently, right? Not too long ago.
Yes.
I want to say this. I knew her briefly, you know, when she was in school, and she was really a nice person. And I'm sorry she has such a tough life. And I know your father was a great guy. He wasn't the greatest athlete I ever met, but he's one of the hardest working guys. And I appreciate your father too and your mother. Nice people, and you're an example of. I'm sure you're following in their footsteps, being a quality person. So thank you very much.
And she was a big fan of yours, and my older sister Laura.
Oh yes.
She wanted me to wish you a happy birthday as well. She always loved having you as a principal, and she wanted me to make a point that she wishes you a happy birthday and appreciates all you did over the years.
Now, as I recall, her children went to Ansonia, right? Palmer was her name?
Yeah. One's actually a school teacher now. Yeah, one of them is a school teacher at Ansonia Middle. He teaches social studies.
Yeah, she was one of the nice people. I was very
he's also
fortunate.
the baseball coach for Ansonia.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he's also the baseball coach for Ansonia High, the head baseball coach.
That.
And then her youngest son is at the University of Bridgeport, and he's a junior right now, and he pitches for the University of Bridgeport. So yeah, they're doing well.
Oh, I just got a letter from the University of Bridgeport. We're looking for money. I'll have to see if there's an athletic event. I'll send some money in for the University of Bridgeport now. I didn't throw the envelope away yet. They've had some tough times. I'm glad they're coming back.
Wow. Well, we really appreciate it. And again, happy birthday. Go celebrate with your family. And I really appreciate it. And best of luck to you going forward. And hopefully we'll see you soon.
No other person could have a 90th birthday like what this group has done tonight for me. I appreciate it. Thanks, Tom.
Well,
thank you, Michael.
You deserve it. And it was a real honor. Thank you again for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you, Eileen. I appreciate it very much. And folks, I'll end with this. Bill Duggan is a remarkable man. And I went to Bradley School. I would say I started in Bradley School around 1980, 1981. And I've always said this, that when I left in 1989, there was some sadness there because it was just one of my favorite schools that I ever went to. Well, it was my favorite school in Derby. And it's because of Bill and the quality of people he had at his school. They were dedicated and committed to giving the students the very best, and they never let us down. And Bill always wanted the school to, be the best it could possibly be. He cared about his students, and he went out of his way time and time again. And then there's Bill Duggan, the athlete, and you know, he was a tremendous basketball player. I remember him playing on the softball teams at Zima's, and he was always so much fun to be around. He just enjoyed people. And every time I went to Yankee Stadium, I felt like Bill was there driving the bus. It was so crazy. I went 4 different times and he was there. So Bill Duggan was everywhere. But when you talk about Hall of Famers, he's a Hall of Fame athlete for sure, but he's a Hall of Fame person as well. He's just a quality human being. There's not a person that could say a bad thing about him. He really loves Derby. He loves, everybody involved with what he does, his friends, his family, the community, and he's just a real solid person. And when you look back on Bill Duggan's career, there's a ton of accomplishments, but I think the thing that stands out to me the most is Bill Duggan, the human being. For In the Spotlight, I'm Mike Kenichi saying good night, everyone.
Good night, Mike.